Boker Tov, everybody. This is a new project I decided to launch as COVID continues to plague us. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to do a little thing every week. It's going to be very short. It's called The Taste of Torah, and it's just going to be a commentary on the Parasha Shavua. So we're going to begin with our current Torah portion for this coming week, Chayei Sarah, which means the life of Sarah. And what we're going to do is we're just going to begin with the lines that start out the Torah portion, which are, Sarah lived to be 127 years, and such was the span of Sarah's life. Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, that is in Hebron, that's a parenthesis in the Bible, and the land of Canaan. And Abraham proceeded to mourn for Sarah and to bewail her. All right, very sad start to everything. So it begins with a paradox. Why is the Parsha that speaks of Sarah's death known as Chayei Sarah, the life of Sarah? It seems contradictory. One answer offered by our tradition is derived from a comment that appears in the Talmud. The righteous at their death are called living. Also, a bit of a paradox. Because of the way one lives one's life, Sarah is referred to as if she were still alive. Okay. Does this mean that there really is life after death? Is this something that Jews have believed? Is this something which we should believe? Now, I know for most people growing up in Reform households, we were taught that Jews do not believe in a life after death. Yes, our beloveds live on in the hearts of those who cherish their memories, as we like to say. But we are always told that we should concentrate on life after birth. And in fact, the CCAR Centenary Perspective, written way back in 1976, offered what amounted to an open-ended statement that we share in God's immortality or God's eternality. Vague. And you've probably heard from me and from my teaching that Judaism actually consists of a number of somewhat contradictory claims about life after death. Everything from a belief that there is a bodily resurrection, that there will come a time when our soul and our dead body are restored to full vitality, and we live in a world to come in a physical condition. And then we also have the Kabbalistic idea of reincarnation, that our souls undergo transmigration from one body to another. And all of these have appeared within Jewish tradition, but who knows? There's no way to establish this, and most important of all, there's no Jewish doctrine that insists this is the right answer. But there is one clear afterlife concept that we all share because we have seen it work out in our own lives. It's been called by Harold Schulweis the immortality of influence. That is, that we live on in the lives we have created, in the people that we have taught, in the people that we have touched, in the institutions that we have helped build, even if that touch is momentary, if that touch is indirect, each of us leaves an imprint on the world. What we do forms the basis for what comes after us. Creating one's immortality of influence requires effort. It doesn't just happen. How can we ensure this kind of internal life for ourselves and for those who have died but are still in our hearts. Certainly, by leading the most moral and most giving lives we can, but there are more specific traditions in Judaism, avenues for immortality that we should pay attention to. One of the chief ones is giving tzedakah. As scripture itself says in the book of Proverbs, tzedakah redeems from death. Each act of tzedakah not only benefits the recipient, but also enriches the lives of the giver and sends out what Donald Rossoff has described as autographed ripples, our signature across the sea of existence that has an effect far longer than our own lives will. And when we die, that itself will hopefully be a catalyst for tzedakah. And so our lives continue to be a blessing through generous contributions and support of the lives of others. Of course, we also have the tradition of saying Kaddish. We say Kaddish not for, but after our loved ones. Kaddish is this unique Jewish link that binds generations of Israel together. The grave doesn't hear the Kaddish, but the speaker does, and those around him do, and the words will echo in the hearts of all of them. So by speaking our names and reciting Kaddish, we continue to live in our community. And of course, there is the modern miracle of being able to donate an organ. Whether the recipient is someone famous who will go on to do famous things, or an anonymous person who will just be able to live a longer and fuller life, whether the person is a Jew or a Gentile, when we save a life, the Mishnah tells us we've saved an entire world. That's amazing. That's an extraordinary contribution to the world. By extending the life of others, we extend our own memory. And that is an extraordinary kind of immortality. So finally, Judaism would say living a Jewish life and strengthening the Jewish people. Ultimately, whether you believe in a personal afterlife, a personal consciousness that endures, I can't say I believe, but I have a hope. I don't have an expectation, but I have a hope. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But always remember, we teach, and I think is true, an immortal people. We have endured beyond all imaginable scope for a normal ethnic group. And we are a mortal people, and therefore we are immortal as individuals because we are part of this eternal people. So that's what we can take from the contradiction of Chayei Sarah. She lived to be 127 years old, and she died in Kiryat Arba. In the space between those two phrases is the key to immortality. And of course, it worked for Sarah. We're still talking about her 3,000 years later. So I hope this is an interesting bit of Torah for you all. And I hope to continue these little sessions for the time being. Have a great week. And I look forward to hearing from you Shabbat, because you know we're now opening up the building. Up to 20 people can come. I hope if you feel confident in being in a socially distanced situation, that you feel free to return to the congregation either on Friday nights at 7:30 or Saturday mornings at 10 o'clock. Shalom, y'all.